Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Touliatos, brought to you by his book, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Which just came out with a brand new revised edition. You can get that on his website, gtoul.com, or on amazon.com. Please welcome all the way from Athens, Greece, Dr. George Touliatos. Hey, George.
Hi,
all
Ron.
right, sir?
Fine, just returned from Columbus, from the States. It was awesome. We had a blast over there, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Huge experience, even though the SARMs kind of messed up a little bit the things, the expo, and a little bit the audience that was at the judging. But it was crowded fully in the finals, you know.
Yeah.
Arnold's seminar was good also, even though it was held in a small room of Hilton at the basement.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience, you know. Of course, I had my seminar with Rick Collins, and it was worthwhile the experience. But I have to tell you, in terms of show organization, Olympia is a step further.
Yeah.
It was prestigious, the Olympia, more glamorous, you know. But Arnold Classic is different. It's more than that. Arnold Classic is a multi-thing, and not just a show like the Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, they have 1,000 volunteers working for them from, you know, mostly local Columbus people. And they had, I don't know how many athletes ended up coming, but it was supposed to be 22,000. And there were supposed to be over 200,000 people in attendance. I think there was still at least 100,000 people there.
Really? Eh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually, you know, I know it's terrible that they didn't have the expo, but for my purposes, for me to do my job, as far as the coverage for MD, it worked out. It was better for me that there was no expo. It was easier to move around. It was just everything consolidated in that one room, the Battelle Grand Ballroom. It actually was easier for us to get really good coverage. So I'm not really upset. It's terrible. I know for all those vendors and all the people that wanted to go to the expo, but I think it worked out. I mean, how would you compare this year's Arnold experience to like the last year you went?
Well, I was 2016, and I have to tell you, the booths were amazing. All the VIP athletes were there, you know.
Yeah.
It was, of course, easier to walk around, but it was kind of sad watching those empty rooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in another perspective, hopefully all the seminars were on, the educational, and of course, nothing could stop the athletes.
Right.
And I believe it was unfair not having the shows because the athletes work so hard for this.
Yeah.
So yes, everything was on but the expo.
Right. Cool.
But of course, the expo is a major part of this.
A lot of people just go to the Arnold for the expo. They don't even care about the contest. So
that's why Jay Cutler, for instance, didn't show up because he had no reason to.
Yeah.
And his seminar also was canceled. Yes.
Right. All right. Well, we got a lot of questions, Doc. Let's start with the best one, I think.
By the way, at the end, on Monday, as I was leaving, I had a picture with a Polish guy who came second at the strongman.
Oh wow! You got a picture. Didn't you get a picture of Triple H too?
No.
No, that wasn't you. That was Mayor of Bodybuilding.
Triple X had long hair a long time ago when he was the spokesman on the media. I think it was 2005.
Yep.
And do you remember when I told you it's an earthquake when the weights go down on the stage?
Yeah. I mean,
we're shaking the stage, eh? 300-pound dumbbells, eh?
Well, I can remember when like they would do like 1,000-pound deadlifts with tires or something, and that thing would slam on the ground. Yeah. That was scary. Yeah. All right, let's get into some questions, Doc. You got a lot of people with questions for you. Hi guys. Question about PCT, post-cycle therapy. I've been on for about 5 months now, and I think it's time to come off for a while. What's a solid PCT program to help me regain my testosterone production and stop me from feeling like shit for too long?
Now, according to the compounds that you're using and basically the esters you're using, we have to wait for 1 week to 10 days in order to get rid of the substances. And this refers mainly to DECA, which is andecaonate, to enanthate and cypionate esters that clear the system slowly, unlike the pills and the propionate or acetate esters that leave the system within few days.
Yeah.
So after that, we have to introduce HCG in moderate doses, so about either 1,000 or 1,500 units. Some people use 2,000. Every 3 hours, because the half-life of this peptide is 72 hours.
Every 3 hours. Wow.
Every 3 days, I'm sorry, excuse me, every 3 days, 72
3
hours.
days, yeah, 3 hours, wow. 3 days, yeah. Okay.
And this is the first pack of the part of the PCT that stimulates the testicles, okay, and the Leydig cells.
Yeah.
Now, this has to take place for almost 2 weeks, so shooting approximately 5 to 6 times of these injections, preferably into the subcutaneous, because it's a water-based solution, the DHEA, so there's no need to do the deep intramuscular.
Okay.
And afterwards, we're going to use the SARMs, I'm sorry, which is clomiphene citrate and tamoxifen citrate, acaclomid and Nolvadex.
Yep.
And this is the second part that kicks the brain, because the SARMs lower the estrogens. They're anti-estrogenic, the half of them, and they kick GnRH and LH, of course, and then testosterone from the brain. And now, along with this, we may use some supplementation that help. They're going to assist to the natural production, which is zinc, magnesium aspartate, ZMA at night. We may use some D-aspartic acid and tribulus terrestris before the gym, and some maca in the morning. And also vitamin D3 is promising for the hormonal system of the hypogonadal men.
Okay.
I also suggest to eat everyday meat and egg yolks, because we need this cholesterol to synthesize the cholesterol molecule, the steroid molecule of testosterone. Cholesterol is also a steroid.
Yeah.
And also we need intense sessions at the gym of 30 minutes workout, and the intervals, the break should be 30 seconds. So keep intensity high, and do not overtrain, and do not stay up at night, because overtraining and insomnia will lower testosterone. We release cortisol, which is antagonistic. Plus, I suggest to stop smoking marijuana, weed, pot, whatever.
How dare you? What? No.
And using opiates, because also opiates leads to hypogonadism.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and of course, alcohol. Alcohol also lowers testosterone.
Right.
So that's it.
Okay, fair enough. Next question. While I'm on 250 milligrams of test every week, 50 milligrams Proviron every day, 25 in the morning, 25 at night, how much Arimidex will I need, if any at all?
250.
Yeah, he's only doing 250 milligrams of test and 50 milligrams of Proviron a day.
Well, this is something also personalized, but I guess if I was him, because I'm kind of sensitive, I would use 1 milligram of Arimidex per week.
Okay.
And gradually, if you don't use, I believe in the long term, estrogen will accumulate either in 8 weeks. Even though you're not going to have symptoms, a little bit of aromatization will take place and will accumulate in the end as elevated estradiol.
Yeah. Okay. He also wanted to know, will HCG be needed, and in what doses? How many times should I inject it?
For how long he's using 250?
I think he does it all the time, every week. I mean, he wants to know if he should add all these stuff to his basically his TRT protocol. So he's asking you about Arimidex, HCG, and he also wanted to know, I'll finish his question, I've recently noticed many people are adding MK677 to their PCT protocol. What are the dangers and benefits?
Is this a PCT now?
I don't understand why he's asking about PCT, because it sounds like he's on 250 milligrams of test all the time. Yeah, I'm a little confused myself.
He has to use HCG in case he wants to keep his fertility on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if he wills to stop someday the use of testosterone, he has to start using HCG afterwards.
Okay.
But if you take it in the long term, this 250, for instance, 6 months, then he may use also HCG in order to be able to get off from testosterone easier with PCT. And now regarding the MK677, it's about growth hormone.
Yeah.
So it's
He wanted to know, just to finish the question completely, because it was a multi-part question. Does MK677 work as part of the protocol, dangers and benefits? And he's also concerned that because it increases the production of growth hormone, will he get a bubble gut?
Oh, come on. Of course not. And mind that bubble gut mainly is the result of insulin, mainly.
Okay.
And of growth hormone in combination, but mainly it's about insulin that enlarges the mental or visceral fat. Now, growth hormone leads to bubble gut through organomegaly, but for Christ's sake, no, from oral secretagogue, you're going to lead to this. Even Arnold, he was using massive doses of DH because you can see his jaw.
Oh.
And he never got a bubble gut because he was able to do a vacuum. Lee Haney, the same. But Lee Haney never used insulin because insulin was administered after the 90s, the Dorian's era.
I don't think there was growth hormone when Arnold competed.
No, but Arnold used it from chimpanzees.
Oh, I mean, as an older man, he probably uses it. Yeah. Oh, chimpanzee. Yes.
Or yeah, because with chimps, we have 98% of our DNA is equal.
That's true.
But Arnold used cadavers, and then was afraid to spread the Creutzfeldt-Jakob encephalopathy.
Right. Okay. Next question. Boy, it's all PCT questions this week. Should we use Proviron at the start of our PCT since it has positive libido and testosterone properties?
Yes, this is a case that is commonly referred. And usually it's misunderstood because actually Testosterone Proviron, even though it's able to elevate free testosterone by lowering SHBG, however, it slightly suppresses LH. So it's not wise to use it alongside the PCT, but there is a but here. If you're willing to restore your fertility and you use HCG and HMG, then you have to introduce Proviron because it stimulates FSH and improves spermatogenesis.
Okay.
So if your PCT is part of your fertility program, so HCG, HMG, then yes, you may use Proviron. But okay, if you're only using HCG and SERMs, then Proviron is not part of the game.
Okay.
You have to use Proviron within the cycle as an auxiliary, steroid, but it has no part in the classic PCT.
Would you believe I have never used Proviron in my life, ever?
It's not available in the States, but
I mean, you can get anything if you know the right people.
I wish I could bring you some from Greece. We have it.
Okay.
But it's a weak technology, it's mainly to have sex and feel good. It has no muscle growing properties. No, it's not an anabolic because DHT is downregulated in the muscle by an enzyme. So if it had any effect on the muscle, it would be anti-estrogenic, so looking leaner a little bit, and perhaps drier, or as an androgen to stimulate some metal fat oxidation, some fat oxidation. So look leaner in general.
Okay. Okay, so this guy says, this question might stump Dr. T, which means he's not sure you can help him. I'm 49, been on TRT, 100 milligrams twice a week. So I guess he does 200 milligrams of test a week for 8 years. On January 18th, my estradiol was 28. In early February, I felt low libido, so I tested my estradiol and prolactin. Prolactin was normal, but estradiol was 11. I decided to start a blast after this, thinking the extra testosterone would increase my estradiol. I did 2 weeks of 400 milligrams each of test, sip, and equipoise. I did a full lab workout 2 weeks later. Everything was good, except my estradiol was now in the negatives. Total test was 1,800. Free test was 530. I have not taken an AI since December. No HCG. The only thing I can think the cause of this is me taking 40 milligrams of sildenafil Viagra. I took it every other week for a total of 3 times. I found one article stating Viagra will affect estradiol in men with low body fat. I'm around 12%. Do you agree with this? If not, any other thoughts on what could be reducing my estradiol?
No, I have no idea about this sildenafil or the Viagra that affects estrogens.
Yeah.
Now, estradiol also is the result of elevated body fat. Now, this guy that is lean, it's promising to have lower estrogens. Another reason of elevated estrogens would be consuming alcohol, because alcohol aromatizes in the liver. There are other foods that are estrogenic, like soy, for instance, and other adestrogen, like broccoli.
Yeah.
And also, I guess it's part when you count, when you measure estrogen. So if you have an injection on Monday, then this testosterone will spike on Wednesday. And if you measure on Wednesday, your estrogen is going to be at the highest, regarding if you measure them on Sunday, it's going to be at the lowest, because then testosterone falls, does spike, and then it falls. Right. So it's also a matter of timing.
Okay. Yeah, but you've never heard of any link of Viagra affecting any really hormone levels. I mean, it sounded like he was only taking it once every other week anyway. Yeah. So I don't see how much effect that would have. Okay, here we go. I'm ending an 8-week Anavar only cycle at 40 milligrams a day. I've been running HCG throughout to avoid suppression at 250 IUs every other day. After my last dose, should I continue HCG and do 2 weeks of 1,000 IU every other day, followed by 4 weeks of Clomid?
So, this guy.
So he's doing. He did 8 weeks. He's ending a cycle that was only Anavar. He was doing just 40 milligrams of Anavar a day. That was
therapy. Yeah.
And he's been using 250 milligrams of HCG every other day also.
Yes, in order to avoid the suppression.
Right. So after his last dose of Anavar, should he continue the HCG and do two weeks of 1,000 IUs every other day, followed by 4 weeks of Clomid?
No, 4 weeks of Clomid are enough, are a lot. And I guess he can do 1,000 of IUs of HCG for 2 weeks, and 25 milligrams, so half a tablet of clomiphene, for another 2 weeks. So totally have a PCT of 1 month.
Okay. Wow, the next question, everything has something to do with PCT this week. Everybody must be ending cycles right now. Should I use DHEA while on 250 milligrams of testosterone? What is the proper dose? Any side effects? Can it be used also in the PCT?
You can use DHEA after your 40s, and you count your SDHEA levels.
Yeah.
But not part of the PCT, because also I'm a little bit concerned that it might slightly, even as a secondary androgen from the adrenals, to suppress endogenous production. After your PCT, then you may introduce it as well. But let's try to the PCT not to use Proviron DHEA, because we don't want any kind of suppression. So let the system wake up without any effect of presence of any kind of androgen.
Yeah.
And just wait and see how it goes. And afterwards, if you are over 40, then you may use it as an anti-aging strategy. And also you may use it along with your cycle. Sometimes when people come and their DHEA is low, I tell them to use it along with Proviron within the cycle. Okay. Or with Proviron, some kind of monotherapy, some kind of, of this dual therapy for improving sex drive.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Next question. Hi, Dr. T. I've heard you suggest adding a low dose of DHEA to HRT protocols. If the person doesn't respond well with 19-nor compounds, could equipoise be a good replacement, and at what dose?
No, because equipoise does not have this lubricating effect as DHEA has. Of course, every steroid stimulates aldosterone, but DHEA is famous and notorious for that. And also mind that DHEA, you can find it pharmaceutical grade. Now, equipoise is supposed to be used veterinary for cattle. And DHEA is a stronger anabolic than equipoise. It has anabolic activity of 140, unlike equipoise, which is around 100, as much as testosterone.
Okay.
Maybe equipoise aromatizes less and does not elevate prolactin, but DHEA is an all-time classic plug, and Arnold also used DHEA. even low doses. Yes, in the latest MD with Victor Martinez, you can see the cycles of Arnold, which is basically Debo Primo and testosterone and then Deca, classic things, eh?
Yeah.
I worked.
They kept it simple back then. They really did. Yeah.
Yeah, everything was pharmaceutical, everything worked, you know.
Yeah. They got it directly from a doctor back in those days.
And I believe that the fact that they had fewer drugs, they relied more on training, which is an effective parameter, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
because you see,
people don't realize those guys did at least half of the year. They were not on anything.
Plus, they didn't have supplementation. As Rick Park said, we were forced to eat all kinds of protein to get the variety of the amino acids by solid food.
Yeah.
Even some people had even no protein powders or vitamins, so they had to eat different kind of animals, white meat, red meat, fish, you know, everything, in order to get these elements.
Yeah.
Now, if you see Dorian in his early years, mid 80s, you couldn't realize that you couldn't believe that this guy would be among the thrilled Olympians.
Right.
Poor genetics. And you see by hard training, huh?
I wouldn't say he had poor genetics.
I'm gonna send you a picture.
I know what he looked. I know exactly what he looked like. I know he was small.
There was a comparison with him and Barry DeMay, and Barry blew him away. But later, of course, he did the heavy-duty system. Everybody uses gear, but you can see with hard work, sometimes you build genetics.
Yeah. Well, also those early pictures where he was very, very pale and he had kind of bushy hair.
Yes.
So I think he's only like 21 in those pictures. I think he'd only been training for like 6 months at that point. He just started training. But yeah, I think he had awesome genetics overall. Okay, next question. I don't know if you can answer this because this is probably different for everybody. How many months of cruising being on a lower dose of steroids, until nearly complete testicular atrophy? So I think he means how many months can you stay on steroids before your balls completely shrivel up to raisins?
Well, I believe this takes some years to happen. And I noticed with replacement therapy that my nuts, my balls, diminished in size, and also my sperm volume diminished in size after discontinuation of 18 months, so 1.5 years of continuous low use of testosterone. I remember back in my cycles when I was in my late 20s, when I started competing, I had noticed some shrinkage, 20% of my testicles. Even though, you know, I was young and I had plenty of natural testosterone before. Of course, it's time related and dose related, but to complete shut off, I think it's years.
Okay. Right. I mean, I can't remember. I don't know how long it took me, but at some point I know it happened. Okay. Hey guys, would taking Proviron sublingually increase its bioavailability, or would it have no effect taking it that way?
I think yes, because taking sublingually accelerates absorption, and also mind that every compound that passes through the stomach gets to the liver, but it's broken down by the liver. And remember, there was a paper in the anabolics book saying that only 30%, 1/3 of the Anavar is found in the urine. So everything is broken down, and consider that Anavar is a 17 alkylated that is very resistant to the liver metabolism. So Proviron that has this methylation of it's not a methylated steroid. It'll hardly survive under the liver metabolism. So I guess yes, this is a smart idea to use sublingually.
Okay.
So yes, directly into the bloodstream.
Now, this question is basically what you covered, I believe, in your Arnold education seminar a few days ago. What is your opinion on SARMs? Any long-term side effects? Can they cause cancer? Are SARMs as strong as steroids? A recent study suggested that RAD 140, aka Testosterone, had an index 90-1, and testosterone has an index of 1-1. So you could probably talk for an hour about SARMs, but what can you tell this guy briefly?
My 2 cents were that SARMs, and also I had a video in Greek today about this. Okay. SARMs are molecules, but they're not steroidal molecules. So they don't have this kind of structure with the hexagonal structure of the steroid molecules.
Yeah.
And SARMs are supposed to be very anabolic and low androgenic, and they act selectively in certain tissues. So, for instance, unlike in contrast with the anabolic steroids that affect prostate and scalp, SARMs they're supposed not to, because we lead to benign prostatic hypertrophy, which is prostatic enlargement, and androgenic alopecia, which is hair thinning, male pattern baldness. But there are several guys who came into my work and have consulted them in lab work. SARMs do the classic symptoms of 17-alkylated steroids. So it is transaminemia, elevation of ALT, AST, and pharmaceutical hepatitis. Dyslipidemia, so elevation of LDL and reduction in HDL, and a slight reduction also in HPTA. So this resembles steroids, and because I'm very suspicious they're sold as supplements yet, even in the States. It's a new era. It's a new trendy thing, like the pro-hormones they used to be 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
But even Bill Welling mentions that, for instance, Ostarine or other SARMs may show some liver toxicity and reduction in natural testosterone production or some lipids distortion. So they're not as innocent as they're supposed to be.
Okay. As far as giving you cancer, I mean, that's a stretch. I've never heard any links to cancer. Have you?
And it's too soon to realize this, and I believe it needs more years.
Yeah.
But I never heard. I heard of GW, which is not a SARM. Many people believe it's a SARM. That GW was given to rats in mega doses. But imagine that rat is 100 grams, a man is 100 kilograms. So giving a rat a month's dose will accelerate cancer. But
sure,
of course, it was a massive dose.
That'd be like us taking 1,000 times the recommended dose of SARMs, basically. Okay, and our final question, doctor: which anabolic steroids lower SHBG the best, and which steroids raise libido the most, and why?
Actually, all steroids are able to do this. Oh. And so a question how to lower my SHBG while on TRT is to elevate the dose. Another way is to perform less frequent, larger doses injections. Another way also is to use the DHT derivatives, which is primomethanolone, Anavar, oxandrolone, and stanozolol or winstrol. Yeah. And also the synthetic forms of DHT, which is Muscular, Proviron, and rostanolone masterol. And another way also is to eat frequently every 2 or 3 hours and elevate your insulin. That is going to lower your SHBG. Methyl boron also is a supplement that also liberates your free testosterone, of course, by reducing SHBG, and vitamin D3 and DHEA also are able to lower SHBG.
Okay. As far as libido, we've always heard that tren is the one steroid that increases your libido the most. Do you believe that to be true?
Increases so because we have the Finadic.
Well, I mean, it makes you horny. Tren's supposed to make you hornier than any other steroid.
If it does, it's because it's a very high androgen.
So anything, a lot of testosterone would do the same thing.
Yeah, but it shuts off your own production.
Yeah, true.
The more androgenic a compound is, the more aggressive will make you. But it also has a greater impact on your HPTA.
Yeah. Okay.
But tren has to be controlled. I mean, in order to control prolactin, we have to take care of the estrogens also. Because we have the term Finadic, which was the Finaplix, the timbolone acetate used for couples in the States in the 90s. And prolactinemia then killed the libido.
Okay.
As with Decadic, they are similar.
Right.
19 or.
Guys, now you know. All right. Well, doctor, thank you so much. It was great to see you in Columbus. I wish I'd been able to hang out with you a little bit more, but man, we got some great coverage, so it all worked out. Not a lot of time for socializing, but
I was next to the finals and prejudging also. Yeah.
Yes. But we'll see you at the Olympia. assuming everything's going to go okay for Olympia. Hope this virus doesn't shut the world down for like a year. Well, hopefully everything's going to be fine by then.
My
With
gym
it.
was empty today
Really?
completely.
People scared of the virus?
I guess so. It's paranoid because I flew with 6 airplanes back and forth in 5 days, and I have to tell you there were no more than 50 passengers who were wearing a mask in all these airports I went to. So more is the panic and the paranoid thing they're making. It looks like a tragedy that you're gonna die. Something was like the plague, like the AIDS, for instance, in the 80s.
Right. Or the zombie apocalypse in The Walking Dead. That's my show. All right, doctor. Thank you so much. I want to tell you guys one more time, please check out the book, Bodybuilding, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Also, every month in the pages of Muscular Development Magazine, you can read Dr. Touliatos' work in his column. And every week, there's a new article on musculardevelopment.com posted. You can find that on the Noble forums as well as the homepage rotators. Great info coming from one of the very few doctors in the world who can communicate with you guys about these subjects that most doctors, they're just not informed or they're not really comfortable speaking about. So thank you, doctor, for being such a great resource for the men out there around the world who need your advice and your knowledge. So, all right, guys, we'll see you next week here on Ask Dr. Testosterone. Thanks for watching.